And now the second part of the Hakdama Tavayel Moshe, so where does that leave us? What do we do about all of this? Okay? So this is talking about the mitzvah of Teichacha, the mitzvah of being moicha against bad things that are happening, bad things that people are doing. The Gemara in Shabbos Daf Nun Hey, it says, "Mi'olam lo yotza mida toivim pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'choyze ba l'ra chutz midavar zeh." There's only one time that mida toiva came from Hashem and it turned into Peronius, and that is Amra midas hadin lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The midas hadin said to Hashem, "Manish tanu elu ve'elu." It's talking over here about the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash. So the Midas Hadin comes to Hashem and says, what's the difference between these and those? Omar Allah, Hashem said, Halolu tzadikim gemurim v'halolu rishayim gemurim. These are tzadikim, total tzadikim, and those are total rishayim, so why would you want to kill the tzadikim? Amar Allah fon of Rabbeinu Shalom. But the Midas Hadin said to Hashem, Hoyolahem limchais v'loy michu. They should have been moicha against the Rishayim and they weren't moicha. They should have protested against the Rishayim and they didn't protest. Omar lo, so Hashem said, Goli v'yadua lefonai, I know. Shemichu b'hem lo yikablu. If they would have protested against the evildoers would not have accepted the protest, so it would be futile for them to do so anyway. V'amro lefonov, and the Midas Hadin said to Hashem, Im lefanecha golui, if you knew it, lefneha mi golui, did they know it? Were they certain that people wouldn't listen to them? Certainly not. So Hashem said, Elo mekudoshai, elu b'nei odam shekimu es ha-Torah kula mi'alav v'yad tof. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the Midas Hadin, the Peronius, you can go kill them. The holy ones, the people that were Makayim Kol HaTorah Kula from Aleph to Tov. Just they weren't moicha against the evildoers, so they deserved the Peronius. It's scary. But the Rebbe has a kasha, v'kosha. L'chayre mashiyama kimu es HaTorah Kula mi'alef yad tov halo kevin shleimichu b'yodam hari loy kimu mitzvah sasei d'hoichech techiach. There's a mitzvah to be moicha against the evildoers. So what do you mean they fulfilled the whole Torah from Aleph to Tov? If they didn't fulfill Eichech Techiach, v'chosel lehem oisa mitzvah mikima Torah. And not only that, he says that giving Teichacha is more chomer than an average mitzvah, because the Ramban says, he quotes Parshas Kisavoy, Ora asher lo yokem es divrei ha-Torah ha-zois, that even if a person's a total tzaddik, if he doesn't rescue the Torah from the people that destroy the Torah, the Rishoyim that are mavatal the Torah, he is cursed. So being moicha, protesting against the evildoers, is even more chomer than a regular mitzvah. But in any case, it's the same as a regular mitzvah. It's not worse than a regular mitzvah, right? So how could it say they're Makayim Kol HaTorah Kula from Aleph to Tov? So he says a teretz. He says two teretz. I'm only going to go through one over here. The next page, he says, based on the Gemara Neirachin. The Gemara Neirachin Daf Tezayin has a machloikis. How far are you supposed to go in your protests against the Rishoyim? Rav says until the Rishoyim want to hit you. Shmuel says until they want to curse you. Rabbi Yehuda says al kadei nazifa, until they just get angry at you. Okay, so it's a machloikis. The Rambam paskins like Rav that you have to continue protesting until they hit you. The Smag paskins no, it's ad kadei nazifa, only until they get annoyed with you. And the Hagois Maimon brings a raya to the Rambam from a Medrash Tanchuma. The Medrash says that the Midas Hadin, the same as our Gemara, it says Midas Hadin said Manish Tanu Elu Me'elu, until it says Afal Pikein Lohem Lehis Bazois Ulekabel Alatzma HaKois Misrol Kishem Shahoy Naviyim Soivlim. Said they should have, the Midas Hadin said they should have continued protesting until, and they should have continued protesting and accepted Klep being hit for the sake of their protests. So you see from there, like the Rambam, that it's ad kedei hako, which mashma that they made protests, but they didn't protest. They weren't willing to suffer for making the protests. Now, then he says it's Yadua, that in Shamayim, when there's a Midas Hadin, the halacha in Shamayim is like the Machmirim. When it's Midas Harachim, the halacha is like the Makilim. So this is why Liyosid Lavoi, the halacha is going to be like Beis Shammai, and now the halacha is like Beis Hillel. Gemara Nivomis. The reason is because Liyosid Lavoi, we're going to have Midas Hadin, we're not going to need Midas Harachim anymore. Now we have Midas Harachim, so the halacha is like Beis Hillel. So he said, the pshat is like this, that really the halacha would be just you have to be moicha, not like the Rambam Ad Kedei Hakah, not so machmir. But then when the Midas Hadin came, that changed the halacha. Now after the Midas Hadin tainit, so now the halacha is Ad Kedei Hakah. So really there were tzaddikim that did Torah from Aleph to Taf, but they were still responsible. And then he brings, because of a Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, Chelik Gimel, Perichov Tes, Bedover Masha Hoyel Yavram Avinu in Bnei Doirei, some events that took place between Avram and his people in his generation. And it says, in the middle, the Rambam says, Ein Sofik Etzli, Shehu Olav HaSholom, Kasher Cholak Al Das Bnei Adam Kulam. The Rambam says he has no suffix that when Avram Avinu stuck up for Hashem, so the people in his generation cursed him and put him down and humiliated him, and they made him suffer for it, but he was willing to suffer all of it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then the Rambam says the Loshen V'chein Hadin Lasois L'chvoidoi, and the Avram Avinu was right. That's the din to do for Hashem. So he asks Akasha, what, you would think Avram did was wrong? Why does the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim have to add that what Avram Avinu was right? So he says, no, the pshat is, you wouldn't think Avram Avinu was wrong, but you would think Avram Avinu was going lifnim mishuras hadin, and that's not the din. Kamashmol in the Rambam, v'chein hadin, lasois l'chvoidoi. That's the halacha. Everybody has to do what Avram Avinu did. Everybody has to suffer bizyonis and everything for HaKadosh Baruch Hu like the Nevi'im did. And remember what the Gemara says in Shabbos, where we started, that these are tzaddikim that from Aleph to Taf, and even they were moicha, but they weren't willing to suffer. That's what the Medrash Tanchuma says. They weren't willing to suffer. So for that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the Midas Hadin, the Pronius came on them. Now, then we're going to skip on page Yud Gimel. He says this, that it's also, the second column, this, that it's also to give toichocha to people that are not makabel, it's not shaykh when you say it to the public. And you say beferish that my toichocha, my musar, is not intended except for those that are going to accept it. Meaning, if amongst the crowd there are people who will accept what I say, then that's all who I'm talking to. Then you're yoitze, giving toichocha to whoever you're supposed to, and not giving toichocha who you're not supposed to. Regarding Zionism, he says, like this, Subeniden Didon, second column, page Yud Gimel, and in the middle of the Dibur Maskal V'Hine, in our case, Afshe Ruba de Dialma and Itfosim Beresh Zu, Tomnu Lahem Hatzion HaPikorsam HaMachti, Shetomnu Lahem Hatzion HaPikorsam HaMachti Mesarab, even though the vast majority of the world have fallen into the trap that the Zionists set, Ulahem Lo Yoel Ma'uma Aftram Barum Yosim Yishemish B'Tzaharayim, it won't help. No matter what you tell them, even if you show them the sun clear in the sky, Heim lo yovu v'lo yishmu, they won't listen. Adarabba, kol shkein de pokat tfei, they'll only get worse. And by the way, when it says pokat tfei, it's worth noting that the word apikairis, one of the pshatim is, it comes from the word hefker. When it says pokat tfei, it means he's going to be more hefker than he is already. It means he's going to become more apikoyus than he is already. Ulam lu'umazois gamze boru bilti shum sofik shadainim tsoim bi Yisrael tmimei derech hamekablim divrei teichacha v'nichenes bilvovim dvaremes. They are still erlecha yidden, innocent Jews amongst Klal Yisrael that will accept what you tell them. Umoyu lohem dvorim beruim shemir neinehem. And if you give them clear information, it will help. V'yaf omnom ki muatam heim, even though they are few. We already learned that even one Jew is infinitely valuable. And experience shows that we know that there are innocent Jews that can understand the truth, even though previously they didn't. And I, Ani HaKotten, could join in this experience that the Satmar Rebbe had. You should not think it's only Satmar Rebbe who's able to do this. I have seen it myself. It is possible there are innocent people out there who you could flip easily if you give them Dvarim Berurim. When I say easily, I mean it takes a lot of work to understand for ourselves what the truth is. You can't give something to somebody if you don't have it. You can only give what you have. So you have to know in order to explain. Was felt in Hasbara felt in Havana, and was felt in Havana, Zicha felt in Hasbara. That's for sure. You're not going to be able to explain it if you don't understand it. But when I say easily, I mean without any resistance, and certainly not without any violent resistance. Therefore, there is a big obligation to explain the truth to everybody, to put it down on paper. There are people inside the base medrash and outside the base medrash. They will have a tayelis from it. It's not just regarding Zionism per se. Zionism is negeya all the ikrei emunah, the kiyum kol Torah kula, and the fulfillment of the entire Torah. Ki kol hamasam anasim neged Torah kedosha, hey mastira neged hamuna. Any actions that are done against the Torah are a stira to amuna. I don't believe that he means that every avera guy does a stira to amuna. He means any act that's done to attack the Torah is a stira to amuna. Umikol shekein oisa hamadina hatzionis she legami neged haTorah kedosha. Kal v'chomer, this state whose existence is designed to negate the Torah. You said this al kfira neira rachmon al, and it's established based on kfira. The whole idea of a Jewish state is kfira. Shein sofik shu legami neged hamuna b'Hashem yisbarach v'Torah kedosha v'yef sheshiu elu shtei amunos. And it's not possible for a person to believe in Israel and in the Torah. They are opposites. Zionism is the opposite of the Torah. You know who said that line? Jabotinsky said a Zionist is the opposite of a Jew. It's true. Jabotinsky was right, that a Zionist is the opposite of the Jew. What? It was designed to be the opposite of the Jew. Yes. I wrote in my book that the Zionists, when they designed the Zionist, they didn't have any picture in mind. This is what Jabotinsky says. It's not even my word. I'm just explaining what he said. He said he doesn't have anything particular in mind, but if you want to know what a Zionist is, take a Yid, or a Jid, he said, which is a derogatory term for a Yid, and imagine his diametric opposite. Everything that a Yid is, the Zionist has to be the opposite. A Yid is ugly, the Zionist has to be handsome. The Yid is scared, the Zionist has to be proud. A Yid is disgusting, a Zionist has to be charming. Then mamish the opposite of a Yid. And he said the perfect Zionist is Herzl, because he's taka the opposite of a real Yid. This is mamish what it is. Like I'm going to explain. And even though the brainless people, they don't understand at the beginning that they think, oh, I believe in Israel and I also believe in the Torah. They think that they do believe in both, and they don't feel the conflict inside them. At the end, they're going to come to abandon the Torah. That those people that avoid Zorah and Hashem at the same time, at the end, they all abandon Hashem, and they end up being oived avoid Zorah. This is very noigeya, the devolution of those that wanted to join the government and what they were then and what they became now. There are many examples of this. You have the Mizrahi, they were Mizrachistim. Rabbi Moshe Avigdor Amiel, who was screaming against nationalism of the Zionists. He wanted to have his chabrus to join in with the Koifrim, which was a mistake, no question, it was wrong. But he was screaming that nationalism is mamash avodah zarah. This is the Mizrachistim. Rabbi Reines, I mentioned, he said, whatever we do to colonize Eretz Yisrael, you have to make sure you don't cross the line and violate the Shalosh Shavuos. The Mizrachistim were more frum than a lot of the anti-Zionists, those who identify as anti-Zionists today. And the Aguda, when they first started, they were completely different than they were today. I heard somebody told me they heard from Shlomo Miller, that he heard from Reb David Krongles. He said that the Mizrahi were more anti-Zionist than the Aguda is today. And it mamish true. There's a Maisa with the Satmar Rebbe. I heard two versions. The versions are 99.9% the same. The Aguda, they invited him either to a meeting of the Aguda or to a convention of the Aguda. That's the only discrepancy in the story. And he said he doesn't want to come. So they asked him why. So he said, because considering what the Aguda became, he said, if I go there, I'll be the only Agudist. Everybody else will be Mizrachistan. If I go to the Aguda convention or the Aguda meeting, whatever it was. They're mamish sliding further and further away. You see today, there are things that the Frum Oilam who identify, I'm not a Zionist, they'll say. The things that they do that the people they wouldn't even have imagined doing 50 years ago, or things that they think that they wouldn't have even imagined thinking 50 years ago. Okay, then he has another reason why he has to write this. Let's go to page Yudalid, towards the middle of the second column. After we know how important it is to make a machor, how could we be quiet and silent at this Medina? Ubeprat, now listen to this is extremely important. Ubeprat, and especially since, im kol ha-yereim hanimtsoim oid b'doirenu, yasimu yad lepesh loy ledaber ha'emes, if everybody's going to be silent, gam yidmonu yodom betzalachas, shloy lichtoy ha'emes me'emes hadar, and nobody's going to write anything because they're afraid of the generation. If nobody's going to talk and nobody's going to write, im kein yishtakach chas v'sholom derech ha'emes legamri mahador, people are going to forget the truth. And this is mamish what happened. I wrote about this in my book in the last few generations. People don't talk because they're scared. The Rebbeim don't talk because they're afraid their Talmidim won't be Makabel. They're afraid they're going to be called fanatics. But the problem is, if nobody talks, then slowly people are going to forget the truth. V'chol ma sheharishu ha'olam ha'ga'oinim v'ha'kedoshim nishmosan eidin shebedoyre shel fanenu, all the tumult that the previous generations Gedolim made, al sakonas hatziyonim hamavlim ha'olam, on the danger of the Zionists that overturned the world, kimat yovai lidei shikha, it will almost be completely forgotten. V'yim gam lahalo yiyu dvarenu b'hatmon of lo yizgalu leini ha'olam. That's now, and if in the future people continue to be silent, the truth of the foundations of these foundations of the Torah will be forgotten. And therefore, even if Hashem helps, that maybe one day with Hashem's Rahmanah, Zionism will be weakened, even hopefully destroyed. Who's going to be able to explain the truth? Who's going to know the truth in that generation? Even if Zionism could be fought, even if Zionism becomes weakened, even if Zionism disappears. But guess what? We'll all be Zionists for all practical purposes. Even if people think they're against Zionism, they don't know what Zionism is. They'll say, there are no Zionists nowadays. And then they'll start singing HaTikvah. No, there's no Zionists nowadays. And then they'll start being proud of the victories of Israel's army. And then they'll start say, there's no Zionists nowadays. And then they'll say how important it is that Netanyahu is the prime minister because they protect the Jews. and they'll say, there's no Zionists nowadays. And they'll say, no, we have to show the Goyim that we're strong. Otherwise the Iranians will bomb us. And then they'll say, no, there are no Zionists nowadays. And the Jews go into the army. It's not so bad the Erlich Yidden go to the army. Or there's no Zionists nowadays. Therefore there is no Giyus anymore. Nobody's forcing the Jews into the army. That's what people are going to say. And Zionism will have ravaged all of us, and we won't even recognize it, even if it slaps us in the face. Ki shtikas kol hador vaday shtika kahoida gemura. The silence of the generation is for sure shtika kahoida. Vein oila oira level hispoinen ad kama nitba v'nishka ha'oilam b'sheker ha'otzum ha'maharis kol ha'terekula. And nobody's going to think about how deeply sunk the world is in this sheker that has destroyed the entire Torah. Tell me, from all of the people here, only those that did not grow up in Satmar, who ever heard in any yeshiva they went to any explanation about what Zionism is and why it's bad?
Not a word.
Not a word.
We're told we're not allowed to go to the parade, but no reasons.
At least you were told you're not allowed to go to parade. Not all yeshivas tell. What?
We went to the parade.
You went to the parade. You went to the parade. You were told you're not allowed to go to the parade, and you don't know any more than you do. Mamish people don't know anything. I went to the best yeshivas. Nothing. Yeah, if you go to Brisk, if you go to Satmar, and even now, you're not going to hear as much as you used to. So then you grow up, you become a big Rosh Hashiva, and you think you know Kol HaTorah, and then you have these dais, and you remember what he said, that people, even Gedolim, it wasn't Noigeya, the Shalosh Shvuos. Forget about the fear of the generation. Forget about the silence that comes because people are afraid. It was Bechlal not Noigeya once every couple hundred years. So anyway, people don't know it. And anyway, never mind the Yetzer Hara that we said, since it's Ma'akev the Gula, the Yetzer Hara focuses so much of his energies on it. Forget all of those factors. The very factor that people were afraid to speak, and this has been generations already. Books have been censored. Feldheim censored the English Briskerov book. The Briskerov was censored. There's a story in the Uvdois van Hogos Lebeis Brisk, which was written by the same author as the English Briskerov book, where there were kids who went to see some, I guess it was an Israeli Air Force show, like they were doing acrobatics, the planes, and the Briskerov got very angry at them, and he said, if the Nazi SS would make a show, would you go watch it? Godel hamachtia yoisem in a horgoi. So in the English version, it's the same author, the same story, they changed it. They left out the Nazis. The same story, the Briskerov said, if people who killed, imagine if people who killed thousands of Jews, if they would do it, would you go watch their air show? In theory, thousands of Jews, if they did it, would you watch them? Godel hamachtia yosim in a horgoi. Art Scroll censored Rav Gifta's biography. Rav Gifta, there's a letter in the Rav Gifta's biography from Art Scroll. There was a letter that they reproduced that Rav Gifta wrote to a guy in America when he was in Telz. And he wrote over there, Rav Gifta, the Mizrachistim, he says the Mizrahi. He writes about Zionism, writes about the Mizrahi, that if they wouldn't be religious Jews, we would say Yemach Shemom on the whole rotten bunch. That's a quote. They took that out of his letter. They just tore it out. They tore a whole bunch of stuff about Zionism, including that line. And they're not saying they're tearing anything out. And this has been going on for generations. And you think, oh, I'm learning from the Gedolei Yisrael, and I'm in the Yeshivische Welt and in the Torah Welt, and I read this Sefer and that Sefer, and we get the Masorah from the Gedolim from yesteryear. You don't know nothing about this, because the Yetzer Hara has you and your whole community by the throat. And you hear nothing. And if you want to know what it was like in the days, if you ever wonder what it's like in the days of the idol worshippers, You ever wonder? From a Yidden worshipping idols, there were Nevi'im prophets who were prophesying, and there were Gedolim and Tzaddikim all over the place, and people were worshipping idols. Hayi Tochen, could you imagine? It's like, can you imagine such chaos, it's indescribable. That's what's happening today. Now they're survivors, and the goal is to be one of the survivors. So, V'al kein achrayis godel v'otzum mutal aleinu litzoik kikruchya golui l'chol Yisrael neged hatumo ha'amuka shehispashta kol kach b'dayrenu. Therefore, it is a great and awesome responsibility laying on us to scream like a crane openly in front of, to all the Jewish people, against this profound tumah that has spread so much amongst our generation. V'tikvaseinu, and we hope, sheyimtzu harbe anoshim sha'afim achshav lo yoyu lahem ma'uma, that there will be people that even if now it doesn't help, we call mokim lav kol zmanim shavos, not all times are the same. V'yovay oid zman, sheyiftechu ezel levavos b'nei Yisrael, v'yifakchu einehem, v'yegiu liyoznehem ha'kolos ha'mitzaltzlim miderech harishonim. We need to scream, because even if people don't listen now, if we scream and if we write, people will know that we screamed and we wrote, and one day, even if today somebody won't listen, one day in the future there will be people that will be able to listen, and they will want to listen, and they will listen, and we have to make sure that they have people to listen to. Because if we don't scream, by the time they're willing to listen, nobody's going to be left screaming. Shebikshu emes ve'emuna karoi. Mashein kenim chas v'sholom ha'kolos yechdalun. Ve'ein oimer ve'ein dvorim b'li nishma kolam b'chol gvulay Yisrael chas v'sholom ovda kol tikva. If we don't scream, then we lost all hope. Ukvar harveisim in Divrei HaRambam, and I already quoted the Rambam, she'al pidin mechuyiv kol echad v'echad lizbal hakol mi'anshei doira avur kvoid Hashem Yisbarach v'teirosa ha'kadoshik Moshe Sovel Avram Avinu Olav HaShalom. I'm going to continue next week. But you see what he's saying over here. That not only, besides the normal chiyuv of toichacha, what it said that even if you're tzaddik, that you're mekayim kol ha'torah kula from aleph to taf, tzaddikim gemurim. But if you're not moichiach the generation, if you don't protest the evildoers, you are cursed, and the Peronius comes on you too. And Avram Avinu, the Rambam says, was soivel so much, we know what he was soivel. V'chein hadin la'asos, and that's the halacha. But more than that, besides all of that, today, now, us, anybody who's reading the Sefer, anybody who came to this shir, has an obligation to scream like a crane to all of Klal Yisrael, to tell them the truth, because if we don't, then nobody will, and the future will be lost. Even if people are willing to listen, they have to have somebody to listen to. And if we keep censoring the stories of our Gedolim, and censoring their letters, and censoring their words, and we refrain, forget about it if we keep doing it. It's too late, we already did it. And that's why people, Bizman Hazeh, I'm talking as if I'm still a younger man in Koil. No. People, Bizman Hazeh, I grew up, I didn't hear anything about it. You grew up, you didn't hear anything. I'm all grown up. And we didn't hear anything about it. And our Talmidim didn't hear anything about it. And our Talmidim's Talmidim didn't hear anything about it. You hear that? We and our Talmidim and our Talmidim's Talmidim. This much I could be made myself. And my Rebbeim were able to be made that also, another generation. And so the future of Klal Yisrael depends upon our making a machon, not just knowing. That's also good. Like I quoted one of the Chachmei Umois Ha'olam, the best thing you can do for poor people is not to be one of them. The best thing you can do against Zionism is not to be a Zionist. But that's not enough. If you don't talk, you're cursed. You didn't fulfill your obligation. You deserve peronius. But the achrayus of the future of Klal Yisrael, you have also shirked. Because anybody that knows the truth is mechuyev to say it. We'll continue next.